The Parliament has passed amendments to the Succession Act, bringing in new provisions and aligning the law with recent court judgments that challenge the constitutionality of some actions or requests, I beg your pardon, sections or requested for clarification. Water Moisture reports that the new law stipulates that 20% of a deceased person's property will not be shared, but left to some minors, if any, through school. Let's have a look at that story first. My apologies, that image hit, but regarding that story, it will be coming your way soon. But Sarah Bireete is in the studio to, shed light, help us understand what the succession bill is all about. Good evening, Sarah. Thank you very much for coming to make us understand this legal matter.
Thank you, Malcolm, and good evening, viewers.
Yes. So, what has changed with the new amendments, or the new the way Parliament has fixed the law now?
Well, the amendment of the Succession Act is a great transformation when it comes to matters of inheritance of property, when a person dies without a will, or what we call intestate. It first of all takes care of issues that were declared unconstitutional by the court, by the Constitutional Court, and that includes changing the age of minors from 21 to 18 to harmonize it with the majority age in the Constitution, changing the way a person applies for letters of administration with giving a note for 2 years and giving preference to spouses. It also clearly stipulates the percentage of sharing of the estate for the deceased person, with 75% remaining to take care of the children, out of which the 20% is the education fund or the trust fund for minors in case of any, or children aged between 18 to 25, that could still be taking, doing their education studies and still dependents. The law puts 20% of the estate into the hands of the surviving spouse and 1% to the heir, with 4% for other dependents of the spouse. The spouse in this case means either man or woman. And when it comes to children of the spouse, it has also outlawed the concept of illegitimate children that was in the old succession law, and it recognizes all children of the lineage of the deceased person, which is a great improvement. The law also incorporates Articles 31 and 32 on the rights of women as well as rights of vulnerable groups, although it creates a bit of controversy when it comes to now the percentage that goes to the surviving spouse.
And I remember there was also a problem, sorry to cut you short, there was also a problem with the words spouse and widower.
I know.
And yeah, that was the background. I was looking at the background of the 60s. It's 60s. So
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, it creates a slight controversy on the 20% part of the estate that remains to a surviving spouse. Yet the Constitution provides for equality under Article 31. It provides for equality of men and women at marriage, in the marriage, and at dissolution. Dissolution under the Succession Act, marriage is dissolved by death. But then the equality component is lost. I want to give an example of spouses without children. What happens to the so-called equality in the marriage? Equality within the marriage and equality at the dissolution. if you have, we are campaigning for the 50-50 world, an equal world, where men and women are purely equal, and the gender parity components in all spheres of life. That presumes a 50-50 partnership in a marriage. So for working spouses that have, for example, joint account and shared incomes all through their marriage life, many couples even open joint accounts when they are dating. So you have all your salaries, if you're corporate, coming into one account, you acquire all your properties jointly, and maybe one spouse has 2 children, and another spouse has other children from previous relations. So there is a problem that maybe courts will mitigate, because the equality component is lost within that 20% shareholding for a surviving spouse.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you a very personal question.
Yes.
What if I do not have property at all?
Yes.
What happens?
Well, you know,
the law leave all of us.
I see you wearing a nice shirt. You know, many people assume that property means land, buildings, cars. Your tie is property. In developed countries where there is an entrenched culture of making wills, even when people buy a shirt, they add into their will that this white shirt, in case of anything, should go so and so. We have not reached that level, but even your nice suit and shoes is property that can be bestowed to your loved ones. I've seen families sharing clothes on burial. You know, property means everything, including your watch. That's all property.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. What are any silent, or hidden sections that we need to know of? Those are the
well, there was I think there was a controversy from the Muslim community with the argument that their succession is provided for under Quran, and since we are a secular state where you can't run issues referring to the Bible, Quran, so the parliament, and rightly so, could not exempt Muslims from the application of this law. But the MPs, through consensus, agreed that Parliament, through the Attorney General government, should then enact a separate law for Muslims. But I don't think it's necessary, because we are a secular state.
We're the same.
Yes, we are all the same, and we are all equal under the law. But people have an option. If you are out there and you don't agree with the components of the succession law, which is 80% good, you have an option of making a will and determining where your property goes. So people should not just be there waiting to die without a will, or what we call intestate. Please make your will. Keep updating it as you acquire property, even small property.
I know you are a voice also in the civil society. Are you very happy with this law? Are you happy with government that this one has finally come?
No, this law has had a big push from the women movement. It's largely a good law, save for the issue of equality that somehow gets lost. But the women are not marginalized in this law like the previous one. It cures the wrangles that we see, where mainly stepmothers throw out children from, for example, deceased spouses. And we have a current case where a prominent pastor died, and children are on the street.
That would be a very long story.
Yes, it's a very long story, but it takes care of this controversy.
Very good example.
And people should use the law to solve these inheritance controversies that they have in society.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for coming through, and greetings to your team as well.
Thank you.